Right, so hello everyone, and a very welcome back to the flight. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to prepare the aircraft for descent, how to descend it, and also how to land it as well. Now, we've had a very nice cruise over from the UK. It's only been about 1 hour 17 minutes so far, but then already we're not too far away from our top of descent. We're about 20 minutes out. I have left this a little bit later than what I'd like, but then I've had just one or two things to do. But still, we can go ahead now and we can plan for the descent. And what we're going to do here is we'll firstly go to our FMC, we'll hit descent, and actually before we do that, one of the things I want to show you first, here is the cruise page on the FMC. Pretty much very similar to what I showed you before in the last tutorial. As you see now, it's saying that optimum flight level is 381. Now we can't do that because of just how we're flying, we have to remain at an odd level. I think it is reverse for Spain, I will admit I do get that confused. But still, like I said, we're going to remain at 370. 1,000 feet's not going to make too much difference, and I don't really want to be climbing now. But still, that there gives you all the specific information you need. So it gives you optimum flight level, your maximum one. Also gives you information about your wind, etc. And like I say, in case you want to increase speed, you go to LRC. But we're not going to do that, especially considering that there's aircraft ahead of us. I'm just going to see what they're actually up to, because there might be a slight conflict here. There's one coming ahead of us, not applicable, and there's actually a company 787 also inbound for Palma ahead of us as well. So that airplane there, where it says -20, is our company 789 from Gatwick. There appears to be quite a few planes heading out to Palma this evening. I wonder if there's an event on or something. No, they're in, but it is manned. We've got a lot of ATC in this region. I think at the moment we should be on Eurocontrol West, but they don't appear to have got to us yet, but it's fine. We can just leave that at this time being. Still, I want to head over to descent mode. Like I say, you do need to put the applicable information in for this. Now, one of the things that does annoy me slightly with this is how it gives us a target speed of 256. So when we start descending the airplane, the speed's going to go back to that. I don't like how it does that. For me, I purposely want to leave it on its current speed, so Mach decimal 78. Actually, you know what, I'm going to take it down slowly. I'm going to call it Mach decimal 74. So I'm going to stick that in, and what it should do with the TD is it should put it a bit later actually, but then we've not all put in all the applicable information, and it's important you do that because it will change where your top of climb point is, sorry, top of descent point is. And even so, for a lot of approaches into Spain, I usually send about 10 or 20 miles earlier to ensure that margin for error. So what we're going to do now is head over to forecast. Very important you go ahead and pull this information in. So the transition level for us today, we do have ATIS on, but I don't think we're in range just yet. I'm just having, oh no, we are, 119er 250. If not, you just have to, well, what I usually do is I usually go on the charts, look at the SID, and it's saying 6,000 feet, so I presume 7,000 in this instance. But we can get the information.
More than 10 kilometers. Few clouds at 2500 feet. Temperature 11. 2.3 QNH 1014. No significant change of these with Palma to Mallorca information Golf.
Alright, we have Golf. And like I say, I've already checked things. It looks like we're coming in for 24 left.
It is information Golf. At time 1700, expect ILS approach runway 24 left in use. Transition level 070. Wind 290 degrees 8 knots. Visibility more than 10 kilometers.
I just missed what they said with the winds, but I'll just see what Active Sky is saying.
Temperature 11. 2.3 QNH 1014.
Right, because I don't really want to be on there all day. So Lima Echo Papa Alpha wind 290 at 8. Right, so that's very important for a little bit later, I'll explain that, but still the transition level is 7,000 feet. Now this here, I was explaining to this earlier about the TAI, because if we turn on the anti-icing, then it will affect the airplane's performance, so it does need to know that. Now I'm just checking on my SIGMETs now, because there is a little bit of bad weather, but none in this part of the world today, so we should be fine, so we can leave that blank. Current temperature is 11 degrees, so there's a deviation of 4 with a QNH of 1014, and that's what you're meant to put in there. And this here explains the cabin rate. So the cabin altitude will be going down at a rate of, and I didn't say hey Siri, what's my phone going off for? But no, the cabin altitude rate will be going down at 277 feet per minute. Right, so what we're going to do here, and this is very important when I talked about the ACARS earlier, we can go ahead and request the relative winds, because that yet again will affect our top of descent. So requested that, shortly say it's got the winds, and it'll we can load them up. Well, it's taking, there we go. I'll say that's taking a bit longer than usual. So I'll just hit load on that. Super. Okay, so the deviation in the temperature is -4 with a QNH of 1014. And other than that, we are looking quite good today into Palmer into regards to the weather. Oh crap, I shouldn't have pressed that. Oh dear. And for once, I think it's actually working working fine for once on stream, because usually when I hit something like that, it usually just all like goes off or something. So just make sure that's in like so, which it is. Okay, we're looking good with that. Now, yeah, so I just wanted to check the weather just to confirm it's all good. So yeah, as you can see that our top of descent has updated slightly. If you want to go ahead and check that, we'll head on over to descent. It should say here. There we go. So in 101 miles at 1740. That's when it started descending. But I'll probably get the airplane descending before that. So Lima Echo Papa Alpha visibility is 10k, but I always plan, well, we're doing the ILS today. Relative with that, I usually look over the NOTAMs, which you should do. But then it's a little bit difficult when VATSIM's on, you know, when you're on VATSIM, because they might not be going off the real life procedure. So we'll just skip over that stuff today. We'll pretend everything's okay at the airfield, but normally I would check it. So yeah, we'll take the ILS runway 24 left. The thing is with that runway, I would normally bring up the charts for it. I may do so now on screen. It is actually quite a short runway for me, as daft as it sounds. I think it's about 10,000 feet long. But even still, it's 10,000 feet long. I always end up having quite a late touchdown on there. And ideally we need to get off at Sierra 1, Sierra 2. Most traffic get off at Sierra 1, and I'll tell you what I'm actually going to do today. If we plan to get off at Sierra 1, it would literally be auto brakes free and maximum reverse, which I do not like doing. So I'm going to plan to get off at Sierra 2 just to make sure that the airplane's configuration is just a little bit better. But I'm still going to use auto brakes free just to be on the safe side. I think even that's going to be a little bit too much, but we'll use second detent reverse first. But even then we might struggle, because I have done the approach into Palmer before, and this is a runway I do struggle with. But that being said, it's an experience thing. Obviously the more times you're going somewhere, the more times you get used to it. I've only been in there I think twice before, and the first time I was on the 06. I don't have any problems on the 06, it's just this specific runway. But still, we can execute everything to plan as needed. And speaking of descent, as you can see there, I put it to Mach 4. Has gone off econ a bit. Like I say, oftentimes these airplanes will actually descend on idle. We couldn't necessarily do that, but we may have to increase our rate of descent. And like I say, it's also got the speed restriction in there. So let me just explain that to you a little bit. We'll head on over to plan. We've got a legs, we've got a step. And you see there, I've got descent. Now there should be some green dots coming in there, and that's really when we'll be hitting 10,000 feet ideally, and the airplane will start slowing down. So we can, like I say, abide by that speed restriction. And just to play it safe, oftentimes this goes to 240 instead of 250. Yeah, again, that margin for safety. Now, considering we're coming in for the ILS, we can go ahead. We can get the star information put in here as well. For us, we're taking the Laws 1 kilo arrival, I do believe. So, we're heading out towards Laws, and then from Laws, it's Posba. Actually, no, I've not done this right. Arrival, I'll put in the ILS Zulu for 24 left. I always prefer to do that. Usually transitions are via Batham, but this is where we need to go through the flight plan and make sure everything's sorted as needs be. So, Laws is in, Posba's in, Alright, and we also need to go to another waypoint here as well. Oh no, that's for the 06. Oh, that's fine then. So yeah, Papa Oscar Sierra, and then from Papa Oscar Sierra, we're then going to join up with the ILS runway 24 left. Now we're going to be taking the ILS Zulu 24 left today. So from Papa Oscar Sierra, it's out towards Batham. Yeah, it's out towards Batham, and then towards Oscar Mike Bravo uniform. So yeah, that's fine. And then pretty much in for the ILS. In terms of our position at Obumu, or whatever it's called, we need to be 2,500, and it's got that picked up. And like I say, it'll pick up the ILS just fine. ILS frequency for today is 109.3. Relative with that, because today I plan, well, as I always do, just to be on the safe side, I'll get everything set up for a Category 3 ILS, in which case you want both the captains and the FO side set up for the applicable nav frequency, which is 1093, and both at the same course frequency, because you need both autopilot's computers working with that. So we'd actually engage both computers, and like I say, this autopilot system goes off the FO, so the B system goes off the FOs, the A system goes off the captains, and like I say, you need to make sure they're both correct, otherwise it just won't work. So 238's in. Like I say, I will be doing another tutorial anyway about how to do an ILS, but for me this is just what I do all the time. When an ILS, category 3 ILS is available, I will take it, even though what we'll probably do is we'll just use it to initially land up with the runway, and then usually at about 5 miles or so when I feel comfortable, it's round about that, I'll take the autopilot out and I'll hand fly it. But still, just in case anything should go wrong, we have the category 3 capability there, just to be on the safe side. Now I'm actually going to put in some radial distances here. Relative with these radial distances, we do have some speed restrictions we do need to take note of in Palmer, and I cannot remember them to save my life. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to be maximum 250 knots for flight level 100. I'm just going to check and make sure that's all gone in fine. Yeah, that's fine. Now, in terms of the actual position relative to the airport, I'm actually going to put in the... did I put in the full fix information there? No, I didn't. And like I say, very good for situational awareness. And what I'm actually going to do on the FMC is I'm going to put in the relative speeds for that. So at 12 DME, so we'll type in 12, and I'll use that as a reference. So just before Obumu, which I will put in, because it will take a little bit of time to deaccelerate, as you can see there. We need to be at 210 knots. That is actually quite fast, that, especially for 12 miles. But the speeds are managed for separation purposes when occurs, so yeah, we'll have to go ahead and we'll stick that in like so. And it also has us to 160 till 4, at which point we'll then start slowing down, so it's going to be quite a busy approach. I hate doing these type of approaches, because usually at 10 miles I want the airplane fully configured for landing, and the fact you can't do that does irritate me, but still, those are the rules, we have to do them. So at 4 nautical miles we need to be at 160 knots. So obviously, I'll tell you what I'll do around about just after Foxtrot 24, I will forget about it. I'm going to have the airplane slowing down to 160 knots, like so. And then it's actually it's 190 at 9, so that's some there's some quite some large differences in the speed there, aren't they? So if you wanted to, you could actually put in some relative ILS information. But what we'll probably end up doing is I'll probably be taking command of the speed, and I'll start dropping the airspeed back as required. So no descent path after Obumu. Oh, it's gone in as... Oh, okay, well that's not good, is it? So this is also something I can show you here as well. As you can see there, I'm putting 2,500 in above. Yeah, when you ever put A in above with the altitude, that means, like I say, above, and you put B in, that means below. You can also do something rather clever. So if you want to do something like this here, you can actually do that. So if you want to be in between 2,500 and 4,000 feet, you can do that. But I'm going to just put in 2,500 above. And I think you can also do the same thing with the speeds, actually. I've never actually tried it. Yeah, you can. That's good. So yeah, it's really quite a niche thing, this. So yeah, we'll just do that. In terms of the minimums today, we are absolutely fabulous for the minimums. Because we've got good visibility. That being said, what our pilots do is to round it up. I'm going to use the category 1. Considering an aircraft's current weight, we'll use 239. But that being said, we could actually round it up. A lot of pilots round it up, so we'll call it 250. Like I say, you need to be a bit cautious with your minimums in low visibility procedures. Right, are we nearing our top of descent? Yeah, we're not too far away. Next thing we need to do is calculate our landing weight. So for us, at the current moment in time, we are at 9.6 tons worth of fuel, and we'll be landing at 8.2. So I'm just doing the maths on that now, and it means we will be burning 1.4 tons of fuel. So 141.6 take away 1.4 gives us a landing weight today of 140.2. So we'll turn our AFB back on, head over to show landing, and we'll look for the airport. So Lima Echo Papa Alpha, search all. Runways is going to be runway 24 left, conditions are dry. Usually it'll say on the ATIS if it isn't, and something's just gone off there which shouldn't have done. Ah, there we go, it's just gone off VNAV. Right, no problem, we'll stick VNAV back on, Show keyboard, winds were at 210 at 8 knots, or 290 at 8 knots even. I'll just triple check that because my writing's atrocious these days. So yeah, 290 at 8 knots outside. Oh, no, 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 we don't want that. I need you to go. Right, outside air temperature was 11, so I think that's about 60. 50. This is just guesswork for me, as you can clearly see. 53. There we go. QNH 1014. And what you also want to do as well is click Show in Route, because it's going to give you a lot more applicable information about your landing distances. Very helpful. Reverses, yep, so if all operative, which I do want to say, I used to put it to no credit, which I shouldn't do anymore. So yeah, this means all operative. You want to make sure you do that. If you've only got one operating, put it to one operative. Very simple. Flaps 30. If there's a shorter runway, you could use flaps 40. Now, if I was planning to get off at Sierra 1, I would go flaps 40. But I will not be doing that today. Air conditioning is on. Anti-ice is off. Like I say, it gives you options here as well. Brakes, we're going to go auto brakes 2. And this here, just pretty much if you've got any problems with the airplane, like hydraulic issues or like that. So just confirm we have no issues with the airplane. Landing weight was 140200, and depending on the winds you will need to adjust your VREF as per necessary. But for us today, what's the winds up to? 2908 knots. I'll call it about 7. Right, so let's have a, okay, so here we go. Landing distance required for us today is 7,291 feet. Now, this is where I do need to do some math. So, by the time we touch down, I do actually think that we are just going to be within the limits of that. But like I say, we're going to use second detent reverse for us. We just have to see where we get, and if we have to take the brakes off a little bit earlier to go manual braking, then we can do that. Yet again, when it comes to the disconnection on the brakes, I always wait for 60 knots, and at 60 knots, I'm not only stir the reverse, I go manual brakes. Some airlines, I've seen them do it at 100, but for me, I just play it by ear. So, relative with that, it's we're looking for a flaps 30 landing today, and the VREF is 153, and it does ask you for the VREF with this here. But we've asked to plus 7 here, so the landing weight today is going to be about 146. So, yeah, it's pretty much on tap, isn't it? Right, so almost approaching our top of climb point here as well. Now, before we do that, we'll do our descent checks. So, our descent checklist is pressurization. You want to make sure it's set to landing altitude, which it is. Well, you have to round it up or round it down as applicable on the 737. Yeah, we'll just have the slight problem with the air conditioning coming up on the recall. Auto brakes. Yeah, we'll use auto brakes 2. Actually, I'm just wondering, shall we try and use auto brakes 3, actually? Just to play it safe. Actually, you know what? Yes, I will use auto brakes 3 just to play it safe. I should be using those because I know what it's like on auto brakes 2. It will struggle. So yes, I do think. So what may actually happen with this is we may reach about 60 knots just after Sierra 1, but I'd rather us do that to ensure we can get off at Sierra 2 at a nice speed rather than struggling to slow down. Right, and the speed's coming back here as well. I'll explain why that's doing that in a moment. Auto brakes, that's free. Landing data, stars, that's sorted. Minimums, that's sorted. Fixes in, and the VREF is in as well. That's the approach being complete. And now the airplane's telling us we need to start descending because we're at the top of descent. Now, let's just say that ATC is not giving us descent clearance yet. What you want to do is you want to start slowing down as much as possible. So hit speed intervene and take it as far down as it can do, and when you give you the clearance, what you want to do is you want to go a high speed. So I'll just demonstrate how to do it here like so. But then, like I say, you need to maintain a clean configuration. So I'll just show you how to do that here. This is part of the high energy descent management stuff, which you will use at some point, especially if you are on VATSIM. When I was doing a KLM flying to Manchester yesterday, there was just a quick change of me. The plan was to head up to pretty much east of the Yorkshire Dales, then head north out towards the Lake District, then come into Manchester from the south, but then ATC gave me a direct route in, so all of a sudden I was about 20 miles off top of descent, and when I put in all the applicable information, frustrated, I ended up about 8,000 feet higher than what I needed to be, so it's quite a big switch. So high energy descent management was really applicable there. Now this thing here, just in case you don't know it, this here indicates whether you're high or low your profile. So currently we're now just approaching 700 feet relative to our profile. And also something I'm going to do here as well, which I'd like to show you, is if you switch over to lower DU to the display, One of the cool things with this is you can actually set up your weather radar, which is what I like to do. I like to have the terrain radar set on mine, and I like to have the FO set on the weather radar here as well, because it's very helpful having both. And like I say, if I'm going somewhere like Innsbruck, this is crucial for me. So I'll put the weather radar on, I'll just increase the range here a bit, I'll put on airport as well, just for a bit of situational awareness, like so. But still, as you see, it's coming up fine. I like to have it on terrain, like I say, yet again, more helpful with situational awareness. Right, so now we're about 2,000 feet above, so let's just say ATC is given the clearance for us to descend. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in an initial descent altitude for us, which will be 4,500 feet. So 4,500 feet is in. I'll hit altitude intervene on VNAV mode, and the airplane will start descending. Now, in this particular instance, because we are higher profile, what I'm going to do is I'll go level change, and I'm going to apply the much speed as possible. So we'll go 260 knots. Now, this will work for both takeoff and climb. Well, if it'll work for climbing and descending, what you'll do is you'll ask for a certain speed, and the airplane will find its natural pitch to it. The higher the speed on descent, the faster the descent rate, and obviously the lower speed, the lower descent rate, and so on and so forth. So as you can see here, we should be catching up now, back with a vertical profile, at which point we can re-engage VNAV once we are a bit closer to that. If you also want to increase your rate of descent, you can put some speed brakes out. And what I usually do here as well is I'll just dial in a little bit of fast sound. We should be able to get 2,300 feet out there. And like I say, experience really does come in handy with this. Any advice that I can give people wanting to learn any airplane on a simulator, just go up and fly it, because you're going to learn a lot about it. Because as you can see there, we're doing very good with the speed brakes out. Just a thing with the speed brakes here as well, you can use them as needed. Like I say, to help us increase the descent rate here, just keep in mind that you shouldn't really use them with flaps. If you do need to use them with flaps out though, you can do. Just make sure you don't use it when the flaps are beyond or at 15 degrees. So once I start putting the flaps below 10 degrees, I will not use speed brakes if I can help it. But sometimes on VATSIM you kind of have to. Like I say, yes, they certainly had to. And you also want to make sure that you arm them before 1,000 feet AGL as well. Okay. So the airplane's doing good there, and I was going to say the speed's kept in there a little bit. We could actually descend a little bit faster here as well, because normally what the throttles do is they go to a retard mode, but we can actually increase it a bit here as well, and we'll still keep level changing, because we can actually descend just a tad faster here as well. But I just don't want to go too mental with the, don't really want to exceed 4,000 feet per minute. And usually when I'm doing something like this here as well, I'll flick on the seatbelt signs just a bit earlier. But today we would have been fine. I just really wanted to demonstrate that on how to do something like this. But we'll be picking up the profile very shortly. Now, just before Palmer tells us to contact them, because for some odd reason Barcelona Centre's online, but we've not had anything like a contact me or anything like that. That's very weird. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll actually message them, because I don't know if we should be doing that or not. Yeah, cheers. Yes. I do apologise about that, everyone. I just tea's ready. So I'll just have to leave for the time being. I also just wanted to message Barcelona Centre there as well. Just ask them if they wanted me with them. Actually, no, I've texted the wrong one. I've literally asked Madrid, not I've asked Madrid, not Barcelona. Silly me. There we go. Right, so as you can see now, I've left it on just a tad too long, so we can get rid of the speed brakes now, and we're actually below a profile, so I'll re-engage VNAV. And what it's going to do now is it's going to start leveling the plane off, and as you see there, the speed's going back to 256, and it just says here drags required, so we'll actually leave the speed brakes out a little bit, help it to slow down. And as you can see there, the speed's gone back to 256, but we're maintaining Mach decimal 74, and like I say, that's something you also need to take into account as well. Because like I say, even though actually we're not I'll tell you what, we'll call it. I'll keep 270 knots actually, because I want to just try and keep that. Of course, when you put in all this information, it will actually change everything, and I do need to contact Barcelona Centre. I was going to say they didn't send me a contact me, but I'll just give them a ring anyway. So it's 13235.
60 direct Caspi. Information.
Alright, so what the airplane's going to do now is it's still going to
Possible 1038, good evening, identified. Spectrum with 2 has left. Clear taxi 1 with your arrival.
Of course, when you put all that information via the FMC, you're better off doing so because it's going to update your vertical profile and such. So obviously, because we now have to slow down to 250 knots, it will make the necessary changes relative to where we need to start slowing down.
Super 96, Victor Charlie.
And obviously the longer it's going to
Clear
take
to destination Center 8 Alpha departure runway 30, initial climb 6,000
right, I'll tell you what I'm also going
feet.
to do here is they'll probably give me a contact me for Palmer, but I'm going to keep the ATIS on the secondary at 119.25. So after they said a contact me, I'll just listen to it to get the up-to-date information, and I'll give them a ring. Barcelona Centre, Buenos noches, Tomjet 24 Mike descending through flight level 236.
Tomjet 24 Mike, good evening, identified spec runway 24 left in Palma, Mallorca, cleared Lores 1 Papa arrival, continue descending flight level 200.
Descend flight level 200, Lores 1 Papa arrival in for the LS runway 24 left into Palma, Tomjet 24 Mike. Super. Right.
065, you control west 135.25. Bye.
So they've asked us for the 1 Papa, so that is a bit of a change. We'll take into account all the necessary stuff with that. So the Lores 1 Papa arrival. We plan for the.
1038. Should we descend now?
Apple 1038. Whenever you're ready.
Now it's pretty much so POBSA maximum 250 knots. Oh dear.
Apple 1038. Are you ready for descent?
But there's nothing we can do with that. But like I said,
Apple 1038. Descent flight level 200.
Reducing speed a little bit earlier.
200. Portugal 1038.
Which it is, and then NUDSA is also 250 knots. So it's POBSA, then out towards NUDSA.
96 Victor Charlie. Push start approved.
And from NUDSA it's 250 knots yet again. Well, it says maximum 250 knots, but I want to keep the speed in for as best I can, but that's obviously gone to... Oh crap, oh dear. Didn't want to put that in. But it's gone to 240 knots, which is fine, and then from
Easy 8648, are you with me?
Oscar,
Yeah.
Tango, November, Uniform.
Easy 8648, you can fly direct air mode, descend at your discretion, clear the air approach runway 24.
Like the 1 Papa has it by Papa Oscar Sierra.
Alright,
so
direct to air mode,
that.
and then descend our discretion, and we're clear for the island.
I was going to say you'll be putting
244, easy 8648.
For the 06s. Alright, so we're just coming back now on the vertical profile, that looks good. And the QNH into Palma is 1014. I'll also get that set up here as well. Now, normally, if I wasn't doing that rapid descent, this is where I'd turn on the seatbelt signs. Yet again, where you turn them off, where you turn them on is subject to airline procedure. So for me, usually on descent 20,000 feet, and I usually wait until above 10,000 feet and clear away on the climb. So I really want to try and how we're looking with the speed. We're actually looking quite good here. Right, tell you what, I'll have weather radar on my side now, and I'll keep the terrain radar on the FO, so it should come up down here, which it is. That's fabulous.
Project 253 Hotel, good evening, identified, continue climbing flight level 360.
Now, usually when ATC has been on here for me, I always end up being too high profile, and if that happens today, I'm literally going to tell them I'm too high, I need to make a 360.
Easy 846,
because
Easy
this is an
86,
approach where
46.
you need to be on it, especially with the...
Easy 8648, go ahead.
we don't have the direct, do you want us to continue on the standard approach, or go direct somewhere else?
Easy 8648, you can go straight to the ILS. Like, feel free, very clear for that.
Alright, go straight to the ILS for easy 864.
I've just asked them for further descent. Sometimes it's a bit easier to do it in text than on voice. So yeah, again in this situation you want to start slowing your airplane down as much as you can.
Ryanair 5755, Palm approach 119.40 bay.
119.4 Ryanair 5755, I am Happy New Year.
Oh.
Sunset 24 Mike, same for you. Palm approach 119.4, have a nice year, bye.
119.4, muchas gracias, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, it says reset the MCP. Now we've got to leave it there, and I'm going to have to take the speed back as far as I can. So I don't really want to take it back. I'll take it back to 210 knots, like so. So I'll just quickly tune in the ATIS again, but I've just changed it because I'm an idiot like that.
Center Volotea 755, we are ready for descent, 30 seconds.
Like I say, this is where things do get
30
hectic.
expect ILS approach runway 24 left in use. Transition level 070. Wind 270 degrees 6 knots, variable between 240 and 300 degrees. Visibility more than 10 kilometers. Few clouds at
Technically I could do it on the
2500
VHF
feet.
too, but I just
Temperature
like to do it now.
11. 2.3 QNH 1014.
So nothing's really changed.
No significant change of these was Palma de Mallorca Information Hotel.
Alright, we have hotel. Palma radar, Buenos noches, Tomjet 24 Mike, flight level 200 overhead, laws. Lois.
24 Mike, muy buenas, identify descent flight level 70, expect runway 24 left.
Down to 70, expect 24 left, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, I'll go level change again.
Ryanair 5755, proceed direct Babu.
Now, I really want to keep good control of speed here as well
Direct
before we
Babu,
hit that
Ryanair
decel, so
5755.
I'm going to go 260 only.
Normal wings,
I'm going to use the speed brakes again.
Push on start.
05 Kilo Golf, push on start approved, facing south, report ready for taxi.
Right, this nose should keep coming down a
Push on
bit.
start approved, face south, and we'll
So
go
that
over
signs
wings,
are on, that's
5
good.
Kilo Golf.
And we may, are we entering icing conditions here? Yes, we could do so. Just to play this safe, we'll go continuous, on, and I've already left that one on. No, I just couldn't see it properly. Like I say, I hate trying to descend at these rates, but I tell you what, keep it 240 because we're descending very well with this, and like I say, we're getting back on profile. I don't really want to keep putting the nose too far down. That's fine though, that's fine.
Tomjet 921 Foxtrot, after Poyensa, Papa Oscar Sierra, clear LS approach 24 left.
Right, and this is the only frequency active as well, so we don't have to switch to anyone else.
Papa Oscar Sierra, Tomjet 921 Fox, are there any altitude restrictions?
No, it was obviously 250, but like I say, I want to keep 240 in.
Tomjet 921 Fox,
Obviously that's what
higher
is
speed
planned
is
for.
approved.
Roger, thank you.
And that green out there, that pretty much signifies where we should start to level off at approximately.
Descend altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Which is not too bad actually, it's quite good. A bit lower, which is very good because it means that we need to slow the descent rate down, which means it's a bit easier to control the speed. Now it looks like we may have, yeah we do, this Ryanair 755 coming from, I think it's Bergamo, Lima India Mike Echo, it's somewhere in northern Italy I believe. Potentially could be conflicting traffic.
Whenever speed 230 knots, whenever.
Enable speed
Oh yeah, yeah,
230 knots.
that's like, yeah, oh no, ideally it needs to keep 240 knots, so that way you can maintain an equal distance. In the same airplane. It looks like we should be clear of this weather, but I know what active sky's like. But it's fine, I'll do as needs be. So off, off, off. Engines will flick back to continuous. Back to off, sorry. Right, here we go. This is the speed restriction here. And we're back on profile now, so I'll put it back to VNAV actually. It's gone back to 270 knots, which it shouldn't do, so I'll put it back to 240 actually. So I'll take command of it. As at this stage we've pretty much got radar vectors ideally. And like I say, what they could say could override necessarily what we've got on the flight plan. like I say, the one that's going down to 7,000 feet. And we've got a good descent rate. We don't need the speed brakes anymore, so I'll go ahead and arm those. And as we're about to come through 10,000 feet, I'll get the lights on. Also, something I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to import the landing data here like so. So the VRF today 153. Ideally, we'll end up touching down about 147, possibly 146, between 149. So, like I say, we'll lose some speed on the flare.
Don't need to fall, Mike. Continue descent altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Down to 5,000 feet, QNH 1014, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, so at this stage, the Vastas go, when they say, in this particular instance, what they've asked us to do is they've told us to keep our descent going to 5,000 feet, but they said 5,000 feet, not flight level. When it's flight level, it's always on standard pressure. And like I say, they've given us 5,000 feet, and after that, you should always give us the pressure same, which have done 1014. And at that point, ATC always assumes that you're going off, like I say, that local QNH, which ATC now affirms that was on the 1014. So at that particular stage, you need to set it to whatever altimeter setting they've asked you to do so, despite what the transition level says. Because oftentimes it's ATC that'll tell you. That's why you see on most charts it says transition level by ATC. So, like I say, in this instance, we need to go to 1014, which we have done. We're coming through 10,000 feet, and I subscribe to the FAA rule with this. So I'll turn on the lights, like so. It's helpful, even though I've only got this on for today's demonstration, well, for today's tutorial. The retractable landing lights, normally on this airplane, which I fly for 2, well, I have it in a more up-to-date config, and it only has the, well, it has the LED lights in the wings, it doesn't have the retractable ones. And the thing is, if you are using the ones with retractable ones, it is helpful in this instance. Because not only can you turn them on through 10,000 feet, but you can also just extend them as well, and it causes some drag, so it's really helpful. So engine controls, I'm also going to put those over, well, I'm going to put those switches over to continuous.
24 left, flat land.
Land 24 left,
we're doing a very nice descent here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for the vertical speed, because I want it to just keep maintaining that descent rate of about 1,100 feet. Descending, of course. Minus 1,100 feet per minute, because we're very good with the nose here as well, and there has been times where I've been too high on this particular approach, and the problem you've got with that is a particular angle when it comes to landing, because oftentimes it may be at a low angle or higher angle than what I'd like. In terms of landing and flaring the airplane, it's very simple. Ideally you need to be about 2-3 degrees nose up attitude, so very similar to what we have now. Keep flying the airplane now once the gear is 15 feet above the ground. So I just begin the flare just after a 30 call out on the GPWS, at which point you need to pitch up a few degrees, anywhere between 5 to 7, and then before you know it, you'll hit 20 on the GPWS, at which point you want to slowly close your power, hold the attitude, jobs are good.
And after Poyensa clear approach 24 left, report established, you will be number 3.
Hey firm, speed back to 230 degrees after Papa Oscar Sierra cleared for the LS runway 24, report established, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, so speed back 230 knots, we use level change now. Like I say, it's very... And then once we put up the vertical profile, once again I'll put it back to VNAV. But then, like I say, we still need to send a little bit, because we are a little bit low. Speeds come back here like so.
24 left and proceed direct Mike, Juliet Victor VR.
Which it is, and there you go, she's continuing the descent.
Proceed direct Mike, Juliet Victor VR.
Now, we have slowed down just a tad bit here, and some people will say it's a little bit early for flaps, which it is, but oftentimes I will put the flaps out now, just because it's... like I say, this is going to be quite a bit of a busy approach, and I'd rather just have the airplane configured as soon as possible.
Speed 180, runner.
So in this particular instance, I'm going to go flaps 1, but I'm not going to go any more than that. Obviously, you can see here we do have the speed tape relative with that, but like I say, you need to take into consideration that we're going to have so much to do, it's going to make it very difficult for us to fly, to do everything. And this is where, you know, having an FO would come in very handy to help you do these things, but unfortunately we don't have such luxury today. Okay, so in regards to the speed, which I was talking about earlier, I'm sure ATC will not give us any discretion with this, but considering that we are the last plane in, we have a little bit more leeway with this. But obviously the planes ahead of me should be following this. Whether or not they are going to do so, I'm not too sure. But still, we're going to be looking for 210 knots actually, and ideally I need to leave it in VNAV actually, so I'll switch it back in. But I need the airplanes descending still actually. Oh, do you know what? It's fine. I'll just take manual control of it. So we'll keep 230 knots cleared for the ILS. So what we'll do is we'll put the APP mode in. If you want to do so, you can put in the VOR lock in, and what that will do is it will stand by to pick up the localizer or the final approach course. Put in APP, and we'll do that as well for the lateral, but in terms of vertical, also on the glide slope as well. I'll also turn on the second autopilot as well, standing by for category 3. Now, at this stage as well, I prefer to start slowing down. Well, they've asked me to keep 230 knots. Oh dear, a bit of a lag spike there. Give it a second, there we go. Oh, a bit of a big one, that. Whoa. Yeah, it should fix itself in a minute. There we go. Alright, we can have the approach check. So, the approach checklists is altimeters, they're set local 1014, and nav aids, they're set for the ILS. Approach checks complete.
5755, speed 160 knots until 6 DME.
Did you just say 2?
Until 6 DME, runner 5755.
Did you just say 2? Oh my goodness. That is immense on the speed.
Following 5 kilo
So not only have you got a short runway, you're keeping high speed till really the last possible moments. That's insane.
Clear for takeoff from the 24 right.
Right, still, the approach mode is armed. We've got 230 knots in. The airplane should start shortly coming back to about, it's saying we need some drag. So we're going to be looking for 210 knots shortly.
Tom Jet 24 Mike, speed 180.
Be about 180 knots, Tom Jet 24 Mike. Oh, and that's very helpful that the ATC's telling us we can slow down a bit earlier. Okay, so as speed starts to come back now, start getting some flaps out. Once it goes below 200 knots, I'm going to go flaps 5. And something's flashing at me yet. Yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine. Okay, so we're in at 5,000 feet to intercept the glide slope. Speed's coming back nicely. Yeah, again, you could use speed brakes if you want to do so, but we should be fine at this precise moment. There we go. We have the VOR and the tomometer report when fully established. So not fully established just 2 yet. Right, speed's struggling a bit there as well. I'll wait till it's about 190 actually. So it's creeping up a little bit. There we go. That's fine. Flaps 5. And we can even go flaps 10 actually, which I will do so momentarily. There we go, just waiting on the glide slope. Yet again, another niche thing that I do on the 737 actually here, we do have approach mode. Very helpful situational awareness. If you want to do so, you can put it in like that. Sometimes I do that because I just think it's a bit of a larger display there over this one. And it's very helpful for getting glide slope
160 knots until 6 DME.
speed back 160 till when on the DME? 24 Mike?
6 DME.
Okay, speed back to 160 till 6 DME. Time to hit 24 Mike. Okay, that's great. So we established glide slope. Speed's going to start coming back now. Relative with that, looking for 6 DME. So I'm just going to change the fixed information like so. Very busy approach, as you can see here.
060.
And then we'll, like I say, we'll bring the speed back to 153.
After Mike Juliet Victor, heading 6060.
Now the airplane is struggling a bit here. In terms of the speed, but you just got to be a bit patient.
Level 180.
Slowly coming down.
Climb level 180, arriving 5 kilo.
Let's take a little bit of time, so we're fully established. And Tom Jet 24 Mike fully established.
24 Mike, continue approach 24 left, you will be number 2.
Roger, 24 Mike. There we go, and go flaps 10.
Hotel 1055, descend 5, correction, 3,000 feet.
Now, when I'm putting the flaps below 10, I like to go gear down.
921 suspect case 24 left at 01.
Jet 5755, wind 270 degrees 6 knots, 24 left, clear to land.
Alright, let's go gear down.
Jet 5755, clear to land, runway 24 left, wind 270 degrees 6 knots.
Was that for me?
Clear to land, runway
I didn't think it
5755.
were.
From the Nena to 1 Fox, continue taxi south, gate Mike, stand 60.
Right, I'm going to go gear down,
0 on to
flaps 15.
Tom Jim Mexico Fox.
Like I say, in some situations you could actually get a warning horn here.
During 4 kilo
So
golf,
that's
you
why
wish
I always
to
like to go
come
gear
proceed
down.
Papa Tango Charlie.
And
Papa Tango Charlie, Eurowings
DME, we're now at 10
Thank
miles,
you
that's
very
good.
much.
so, because the gear's gone down now, I'll turn on the taxi lights and also turn on the wheel well lights here as well, because I will forget. Like I say, I'll have them turned on for the ground crew. So once the airplane starts going down to 153 knots, I'm going to go FATS 30. So almost at 6, but he said 60 in me actually. Which we are actually nearing at. So I'll wait for about 6.5 before asking the plane to slow down. Actually, no, I'm going to do it now. So I'll look for 153. Right, so we're landing. Right. That's what the wind's doing. Like I say, I always want to do it early, especially on this type of approach. The airplane's going to struggle a bit. Right, flaps 30 set, and we can start with the landing checks. Line checklist. Where is it? There we go. Line change. Cabin. We'll assume it's secure.
Speed 210 knots.
Engine start switches set to continuous, and I've flicked the APU system to on. I'll just put it back to off. We don't need that yet. Speed brakes. Armed. Landing gear. Down. Free green. Flaps for degrees. Green lights. Lights. They're all set up. Line check's complete. Right, I'm going to leave the autopilot in just a tad longer. And she's struggling a bit here as well. Let's bring it back a little bit. We'll look for 150 knots.
They are 755, left on heading 355 degrees.
Left 355.
Nena.
Requesting taxi 243.
Yeah, this is where we are struggling a little bit with the glide.
Holding point 24 right.
Taxi 1,
Like I
Juliet
say,
2.
the speed's creeping up and I can't use the speed brakes. So usually what I end up doing is I usually just end up dipping below the glide slope.
Mike, wind 270 degrees 6 knots, 24 left, clear land.
24 left, clear land, 24 Mike. Right, I have control. I'm going to put it to
Runway
APB.
55, hold short Mike.
Just try and turn that off because it's annoying. Looks like that Rhino's got off the
Airbus
center.
7 with you, approaching via also to top arrival.
Right, we're good on the glides, very good. Slightly right of centre line.
Buenas, identify, proceed direct Papa
Speed
Oscar
is
Sierra,
good.
runway 24 left, and when ready, descend flight level 70.
Sending to flight level 80, Airbus 7.
Descend flight level 70.
Correction, 70.
Like I say, just try and keep that positive nose up attitude.
Runway vacated, runway 5755.
Runway 5755, taxi via Mike, Tango 1, stand
Continue.
64 behind traffic crossing left to the right.
Bit hard to concentrate when ATC is always like this.
Mike Tango 1 and stand 64 after traffic, runway 5755.
There we go, start the flare. Hold that attitude, there's 20, slowly close the power, wait for the gear to come down, hold the attitude. There we go, touchdown, speed brakes up. Keep some back pressure in to make sure the nose gear doesn't slam all the way onto the ground. We'll go second detent. I'm going to go full reverse because we're struggling a bit here.
Wings, 5 kilo golf. Thank you very much and have a good new year.
Thank you.
60 knots, manual brakes, reverses in. I'll disconnect the other brakes. I'll stop the clock here as well. 2 hours, 7 minutes. Right, we'll get the speed brakes up, and usually when the captain brings the speed brakes up, it's the, well, if it's the, well, it's then usually signal to start clean up. So we'll go flaps up, we'll start up the APU, put those to off. And you also need to reset the trim here as well, which I do forget to do, and turn off the weather radar as well. A lot to do in a very short amount of time here, so take your time if you need to. Stop it, and then obviously, because you're also taxiing in here as well, stop if you need to, like I'm going to do so here. I'll take it off that mode, but still, I think that's the first time I've come in on 2.4 there with no real issues. Yet again, big spike here. Just get that off. I want to map mode. Yeah, first
2-4 Mike, continue taxi, Mike, stand 86.
Mike on stand 86, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, having a few performance issues here, but I've known it to be worse. Right, so I'm just going to consider what we're doing here as well, because it said stand 86 now. For customs reasons, there's certain no, I can't do that. I need to go to the north apron, so I need to let ground know, and that's for customs reasons, from what I'm aware of here at Palma. Tomjet 24 Mike, any possibility we can get a stand on the northern apron, possibly number 18? Well, it might be shut actually, because I think it's terminal 2 we're going to.
Mike, no problem, continue taxi south, link, gate 4 stroke, stand 18.
South, link, Foxtrot, and then onto 18, thank you very much, Tomjet 24 Mike. Right, so yes, that might actually be something to do with COVID that they might be simulating. Like they might only be using like Palma, it's like Terminal A, Terminal B. I think it's Terminal B that we use here at Palma. It might be, I think, like the North part's Terminal B or something. But maybe with COVID they're not simulating that. But this is that's where pretty much most of the UK flights I think go. So we're just going to go there. Just I know I did it in Manchester, but I don't know my full ins and outs the way here. So yeah, we'll just go on to stand 18 here. Right, is that? No, that's not it. Performance is a little bit naff actually, but it's because we've got a bit of traffic here as well. A lot of traffic on recently as well. There's quite a bit of traffic on yesterday when I did a flight into Manchester. It's usually quite good for me here, and I'm putting some differential braking on. I shouldn't be doing that. I'll tell you what I'll do here is just to help me out a little bit. Is I'll get some dome lights on, see what I'm doing. I'm just going to put the AP on here as well, make sure that's all good. It's fine. This means that when you shut down the engines, we won't have any issues with the electrics. I'll let GSX know that we'll also have to stand 18 here as well.
Approach 29 Alpha, holding Sean super right.
Like 9 Alpha, wind 270.
So yeah, in preparation for the next flight, I'm going to turn off the flight directors. What some airlines will actually do for the turnaround is they'll actually go ahead and they'll put the IRSs to off, they'll put it back to nav, so we'll realign it to ensure it's accurately positioned as best as possible. For me, I don't like to do that though. Yeah, it seems to be a little bit lagging here for me. I've had a few problems over the past couple of days. I'm hoping it's not a hardware issue. And of course as well, if you want to reset everything you can do, so I'm going to reset the minimums. There's not really too much point in doing that because we're going to be departing out of here again in not too long of a time, and relative with that, obviously, you know, we'll need to come back in. Well, just in case we need to come back in, that being said as well, a few airplanes that I fly will also save the fixed information. Really helpful. Okay, so this here is Fox.
Pero para 3 medio Whiskey Juliet, cuando pueda reduce a 230.
It's a bit better now, actually.
230 nudos.
Have I left the landing lights on? I think I have. Yeah, I was going to say that's also something you want to do after landing as well. I thought I also turned on the taxi lights as well. A bit difficult to see in the dark. So yeah, you want to make sure you turn them off after landing, of course. And I have to nav, anti-collision lights. That's good. And I'm just going to leave the lights on until we get onto stand. And I also want to make sure the weather radar is off before I get onto stand here as well. Let's put a bit more power in here like so. So yeah, I'm just going to make sure my drivers are up to date actually, just to be on the safe side. Because we have been having a few stutters here, and usually...
7 left on heading 110.
I'm not, when it comes to the actual...
Left heading 110,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Mena Alpha, you are on radar contact, continue climb flight level 180.
See us stand ahead of us. So there's no
Climbing
aircraft here as well, so that's helpful. Yeah, did I reset the trim? Yeah, set to 5, that's good. I was going to say this here is a bit of a straight, a bit of taxiway, so I'm going to increase the speed a bit. Like I say, we could go up to 30 knots, but then I don't even like going that high. I don't generally like to go any higher than 25 if I can, because we're also going to use some brakes before we get on stand. Speaking of brakes, I'm just going to take a gander at them as well. I'll get that off that. See how they're doing. Okay, they're not too bad. Relative with that, just like any airplane, you need to take into consideration that they'll take some time to cool down. So before going to stand, I'll turn the lights off so we're not blinding the ground crew. And I always slow down very, I really go quite slow when going on to some stand, but it's quite a large stand actually, so I can keep the power in. Make sure you overshoot a little bit as well, because the gear's behind us. Alright, that's not too bad.
7 continue descent 5006, carrier 1014.
10 to 5003, there was 7.
I am very pernickety when it comes to making sure right. Take into consideration though, it does take into consideration usually where you're actually positioned, because obviously we're in the captain seat, which is more left, it's going to be a bit alright, close the power. Oof. Nobody saw that. I didn't just overshoot that.
Continue taxi, Mike, stand 60.
It's fine, it's fine. Right, so we can go ahead now and complete the shutdown item. So we'll go ahead and shut down the engines. Like I say, run the APU for the power, so that's totally fine. Otherwise, what you would end up doing is if you need to get a GPU, I would shut down engine number 2 to allow them flight plan closed. Oh, that's good timing.
07 Winnable speed 230 knots. Aero 7 whenever speed 230 knots.
Text there, just to say thank you very much. Right, still, yes, just in case you do need to get the GPU on, then, like I say, just make sure you guys stop number 2, get the GPU on, then you can start down number 1. Now, usually, when it actually comes to getting all the services on and stuff like that, I'm usually a bit quicker with this, but we're going to be a bit slower today, just because I'm going to run through a few of the items. So, yeah, engines are shut down, parking brake is set. What you want to then go ahead and do is put the chocks on the airplane. You want to do that as soon as possible, because as soon as you can actually release the parking brakes, the better, especially considering we need to allow some time for the brakes to actually cool down. Fuel pumps, you want to set those as applicable, so ideally you shouldn't have any centre tank fuel at this stage, so I'm going to leave the left forward on for the APU operation. I'm also going to make sure my flaps are up, which they are. I'm going to set the transponder to standby, I've already done that. Hydraulics set as applicable, so we don't need any of that anymore, so I'm going to bring both those to off. Hydraulics, yeah, they're set. Engine start levers, they're cut off, and the weather radar I've also turned off here as well. So we can go ahead and we can turn off the anti-collision lights and let the ground crew do their thing. So we'll hit deboarding, like so. And oh, we've got 2 jetways here actually. I think we're better off with number 2 actually. So let's have number 2 on the airplane. So yeah, obviously we'll get a message saying flight control issues. So we can go ahead now. And I'll just run through how you should go through things. Like I say, electrics, fuel is fine. Some airlines, I think, like I say, we'll just leave all the fuel pumps on. Window heats, yep. So because we're doing a turnaround, I'm going to leave those on. Probes, they should come to the auto position or the off position. Either way, they'll go to off. Hydraulics, anti-ice, they need to be off as applicable. Packs, yet again, turn those off as applicable. I'm going to turn mine off here. And yeah, that's job's a good one. So we can tell the cam crew to open the doors. Cam crew does to manual cross check and report, please. Right, so that pretty much tells them that they can go ahead now and what's happened now with the lights? They can open the doors. So let's go ahead and sort that out for them. So we'll open up the front one. We'll open up door 1 left, and I also like to go over to ground services here as well. I'll also like to put a few things on the airplane, so we'll request the GPU. And like I say, when that comes on, we can shut down the APU. Yeah, again, that's subject to airline procedures, because if you're using packs to help keep the airplane
Right heading 210 degrees here.
on the airplane best you can. In the meantime, lavatory, portable water, yeah. We'll get some of that on, why not?
Derecha 150,
And I'll just tune any random frequency so we don't need to listen to ATC anymore. And so yes, everyone. That's been the flight for today. Like I say, if you are doing the turnaround from here on now, some airlines will go ahead, like I say, recycle the IRS, like I said. Relative to that, the most part, all you simply need to do is go ahead and complete the FMS procedure, and then you take it really from the pre-flight stuff, so on and so forth. But for the most part, the airplane's already set up, but then some airlines may actually go ahead and complete some certain checks. But like I say, the airplane is very highly customizable, very different types of operations, so on and so forth. But yes, I certainly hope, like I say, you've enjoyed these series of videos. I know I have certainly enjoyed making them. Of course, do not forget there's going to be several others coming on the channel as well. So at this moment in time, I've done the cold and dark, the cruise, the descent and landing and all that stuff. Obviously, I'll be doing a few different tours covering about landings, the EFB, the customization stuff, so on and so forth. So to make sure you never miss out on them, please go down below and hit that subscribe button. And like I say, I'm more than happy to talk to people about certain airline procedures as well, because I know a bit of knowledge on that, but I prefer to go ahead and talk to people about that on my streams, which happen both on Twitch and on YouTube. Like I say, details on screen and down below now. But either way, everyone, from me, the Plane Guy, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.